We start with that breaking news from here in London. Counter-terrorism police leading the investigation after Europe's busiest airport, Heathrow, was completely closed until midnight at least. It follows what has been described as a catastrophic fire at a nearby electrical substation, which then caused a major power cut. The Metropolitan Police says it is investigating, and it says given the location of the substation and the impact of this incident, counter-terror officers will be leading the inquiries. The Met says while there is currently no indication of foul play, it retains an open mind. Well, inbound passengers are currently being diverted to other airports in the United Kingdom and indeed around the world. Some planes had to turn around mid-air and then return to where they had originally taken off from. Around 150 people have been evacuated from their homes because of the fire, and nearly 5,000 are still without any electricity. The London Fire Brigade has said the blaze is under control, although 10% of the substation is still burning. And these pictures are of inside Heathrow Airport when the power cut happened. Corridors were plunged into darkness with just emergency lights still on. Well, passengers are now being advised not to travel to the airport. Airlines are warning the disruption could last for several days. Today's total closure of London Heathrow Airport affects more than 1,300 flights globally. That's according to Flight Radar 24. And at the time of the announcement, they say there were 120 aircraft in the air that have had to divert to alternative airports or to return to their original airports where they'd flown from. Heathrow is the UK's biggest airport, with more than 83.9 million passengers travelling through its terminals last year. Questions are now being asked about why Heathrow, such a key and pivotal part of the national UK infrastructure, did not have an adequate backup power supply that would have allowed it to stay open today. Let's get the very latest. We can go to Rich Preston, our correspondent who's at the airport. Rich, just bring us up to date with what you are hearing on the latest developments.
Well, Ben, what we're hearing now is that the airport is still closed and will be remaining closed until midnight. That line has not changed. There are no aeroplanes in the sky, as you can see behind me. Anyone that has ever been around Heathrow, you see planes taking off and landing every few seconds. That just isn't happening today. I was in a hotel just up the road a little earlier, and the lobby of the hotel is just full of people surrounded by their suitcases. They've checked out already. They've got nowhere to go because these flights just are not taking off and are not arriving either. The ripples of this, of course, being felt far and wide. Yes, this is a London airport, but it's the airport with the most international connections in the world. Think if you live in the United States, you're traveling to Asia, chances are you might be going via Heathrow. If you're traveling in Europe and you're going to America, you might be going via Heathrow. So this is affecting people around the UK and all over the world. And as we heard earlier on as well, the fire still burning. LFB confirmed that earlier, 10% still burning. So it doesn't look like the power is going to be coming on here anytime soon. There are 5,000 other properties in the area which are affected. The roads around Heathrow are closed, police not letting people off the off-ramps from the nearby roads down towards the airport. Do not travel here is the loud and clear message.
Yeah, that's the message, loud and clear. And we were hearing from one travel expert who was saying the knock-on effects of this could last for maybe 4, 5, 6 days. I mean, this won't be over in 24 hours.
No, absolutely not, because of course all these people that were expecting to come into Heathrow still want to come into Heathrow. Now, it's already an airport which is pretty much at capacity. It's talking about adding a new runway to deal with the additional numbers required. So to get all these people through the system, this is going to take a bit of time. And of course, we're talking about passengers, but Heathrow is also a major cargo hub. So if you're ordering things online, or if you work in the logistics industry and you deal with things coming in at it the next day, that's going to be affected as well. So this is going to have an impact, yes, on people, yes, on their holidays and their valuable time off, going to see family, friends, relatives, going for job interviews, but it's also going to have a big impact on the UK economy as well, with, as I say, those ripples farther afield.
And given that and its importance to UK national infrastructure, there are a lot of questions, as I mentioned earlier, about why the backup systems, the alternative power supplies, weren't good enough, weren't efficient enough to keep the airport up and running today.
Yeah, there's going to be some big important questions being asked about that. This is a key transport hub, a key part of what is referred to as critical national infrastructure. It forms part of the government's national security strategy and how they deal with emergencies. So there will be really big questions and some answers expected as to why one fire at one power plant knocked out this entire massive, vitally important airport, which you see empty behind me.
OK, for the moment, Rich, thanks very much indeed. More from you later on. But in the meantime, let's just hear the latest update about the fire itself from the Deputy Commissioner of the London Fire Brigade, speaking a few minutes ago.
At 2023, on the evening of the 20th of March, London Fire Brigade received 212 calls to a fire in a high voltage substation near Heathrow Airport. The fire involved a transformer comprising of 25,000 litres of cooling oil fully alight. This created a major hazard due to the still live high voltage equipment and the nature of the oil-fuelled fire. LFB was in close contact with Blue Light Partners overnight, and at 0042 the Metropolitan Police declared a major incident. This remains a very visible and significant incident. Our firefighters worked tirelessly in challenging and very hazardous conditions to bring the fire under control as swiftly as possible. As of the most recent update that I have received, approximately 10% remains alight, and we are working with SSE to safely resolve this incident. As a result of the incident, 67,000 households were left without power. Currently, 5,000 homes remain without power. There remains no power at Heathrow Airport Terminal 2 or Terminal 4. The incident caused London Heathrow to close the airport and planes to be rerouted. We continue to work very closely with our partners to minimise disruption.
So that is the latest from the London Fire Brigade. Well, of course, so many passengers really badly affected by the disruption. Let's talk to one of them, Lucy Adler, who is currently stranded in Delhi. Lucy, just tell us what happened to you. What's your story?
Hi, Ben. So I was one of those passengers who was literally mid-flight. Our flight took off at sort of 5 a.m. local time. Most people were asleep. Captain woke everybody up and started to explain what was happening in Heathrow. And we all expected him to then go on and say, so we're going to take you to another London airport. But what he actually said was, we're turning back round and we're going back to Delhi. So yeah, 9 hours of flying to end up right back where we started was pretty painful.
That is painful. What are your circumstances now? Where are you staying? Are you getting any compensation? Has anybody laid on a hotel for you?
Yeah, so I'm traveling on my own, so I was pretty anxious about what was going to happen. Luckily, the airline kind of got us to a hotel, but then it's sort of been radio silence since then. So no one knows what's happening with the flight. They just told us to check the app, but the app's just saying that we've already landed. So yeah, there's a lot of sort of anxiety, lots of people trying to sort their own thing out. We were given a letter which basically said, if you can sort yourself out, you're entitled to claim back at a later time, and this letter is your proof.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any alternative flights you could get? Are you looking at other ways of getting home?
I mean, obviously, as soon as the announcement was made, everyone was trying to get onto the Wi-Fi on the plane. I feel really lucky that I have managed to get an alternative flight out at 1 a.m. via Zurich to land in Birmingham Airport. So not ideal, but the more I've seen the reporting and what's happening in Heathrow, I don't think there's much confidence that planes are going to be landing there anytime soon. So I'm very happy to have got that flight.
Yeah. So had you been in Delhi? Were you there on business or on holiday?
No, so I was here for work. So yeah, really nice trip and looking forward to getting home today in time for the school run, back to mum duties. But yeah, not to be.
And actually just the worst possible day to be potentially flying, because, I mean, this hasn't happened at Heathrow Airport ever. Nothing like this. There was a shutdown back in 2010 because of that Icelandic volcano. But apart from that, there's never been a total shutdown. So you're very unlucky.
Yeah, and I think everybody was sort of grumbling at first, and then the more we were reading what was happening, you kind of realised actually this is a pretty significant thing that's happened, and as you say, very unlucky.
All right, well, Lucy, good luck to you, and I hope you do get home safely before too long, and well done for making other arrangements.
Thank you so much.
So that is Lucy Adler, currently stranded in Delhi, but hoping to get home via Zurich to Birmingham. Let's go to Lorna Gordon, our correspondent in Glasgow. And are flights landing there, Lorna, that were supposed to be landing in Heathrow?
Yeah, there's been 5 flights landing here at Glasgow that were originally destined for Heathrow, all transatlantics, 3 of them British Airways, 2 Virgin Atlantics, and very tired people disembarking at the last couple of hours. They were telling us they were only told that their flights were being diverted about an hour before landing. Those who had some kind of internet connection were trying to make alternative plans. One couple told me that they had to get home to the southeast because the gentleman was involved in a wedding tomorrow. He was the master of ceremony, so they'd managed to spend £922 on 2 flights back down to Gatwick. They say they think they got the last seats on that flight, but for quite a hefty price. Others we were speaking to, there was a party of 12 who were heading from the States up to Helsinki and then onwards to the Arctic Circle for a very special holiday. They, of course, were less familiar with UK geography, trying to work out how they would make their way there. They were told to get flights out of Manchester, and they were trying to work out how to do that and how to get down to Manchester. I've heard from them in the last few minutes. They've managed to book on to a bus to take them down there and then onwards for that journey. People were sort of accepting of the situation, I think it's fair to say, but slightly frustrated at either the costs or the difficulties involved in trying to arrange the onward journey. But there's been staff on hand here at the airport to help them. And of course, there's also been those flights that should have been taking off, heading down to Heathrow, and those flights from Heathrow heading back up here, 12 in each direction. They've also been cancelled today.
All right, Lorna, thank you very much. We'll be back with you a little bit later, but Lorna Gordon with the latest there from Glasgow.